Holy shit! Well, he's definitely here because he just added, oh my fucking god! No, y'all don't understand. He just... Okay. Oh, shit. We're going to be here all night. It's going to be 5 a.m. We're going to be here till 5 a.m. If it isn't Mr. Has a Lot to Say. Yes, this right here is our Overlord Grand High bit who just added 3 pages to the document. I can't hear you. My mic's at 100%, but I cannot hear you. Of course we can't. There! Wait, I heard something for a moment. Say that again.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good.
Everything has been... My office is actually different because we finished the floors. And I still have 1 computer down. So I'm running on 2 computers right now.
I hate that. I'm not happy without my 5.
Yeah.
The rest of you are like, what the hell's the matter with you 2 idiots? You don't understand.
Gosh, you know, it was, I'll tell you, putting in the laminate floors went really smoothly, I think, solely because of the contractors that were used. And we went through Home Depot. And these 2 guys, phenomenal, just professionals totally, and did so much I think to make this whole process a lot less painless. I mean, because we have bunk beds and we could shift them and things like that, so they made it a lot easier than we had anticipated. It still takes time because it's a lot. We've got a lot to move back and forth, and last week I had to spend my time getting everything organized, and it was extremely painful taking apart all the routers, all this other stuff, and disconnecting them, and I had to find a way to shove the essential components to keep the network up and alive in the house so that phones would work, and then I could work in a different location of the house just with just very minimal.
In other words, it was Three Stooges renovation for the last week.
Yeah. So, but the floors are great, and I really like how my office is now. But this desk
quick question. Are they, a question on the floors, are they floating or are they the other kind?
Well, I guess it's floating because they're not glued to the foundation. That's what you're.
Yeah, so that'd be floating. Yeah. Those are annoying if your foundation and our underfloor or subfloor is not level.
That's right. And part of the process of installing it is they had to measure and level every room.
Yeah, they've got to get it within, I think it's either, a 16th to an 8th levelability. It cannot exceed that, otherwise it will not float right and it will warp the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what kind of made the process long. You have to pour this leveler.
And wait for it to dry and then hope it leveled. Repeat until you spent $2,000 more than you wanted to.
Absolutely. But But I am happy to say I am prepared to record a podcast, so...
Okay. I will wait for you to flip the button then.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and start. I am now starting the podcast recording. Wow. Take it away, Rusty.
Okay. T-minus 10 minutes in, podcast started. This show brought to you by the Home Depot. It's kind of like the other place. Those of you who watch the pre-show video stuff have a clue what we're talking about, and those of you who listen to the podcast continue in blissful ignorance. It's me and Bit here. We wish we could have got others, but on Thursdays that's almost impossible.
Right. Short story, basically last week I was out because we were replacing my floors. We installed laminate floors from carpet, and I was out last week because of that. So.
Yeah. And everybody else was explaining, you know, he could have Skyped from his BlackBerry.
It was, the thing of it is that I got behind on other work.
No, trust me, I understand. It's just...
So it was...
No, we had plenty of fun poking the bear. We had plenty of fun poking the bear.
The other good news is that we can do the Cracker Cast. So
when are we doing that?
We have any time now, between now and May 2nd, we can do a Cracker Cast.
Okay, let's try and do that on a day when we can get as many of us together as possible, as blitzed as possible.
On the podcast, Cracker Cast, I have no idea. I don't even know why it was named that. I came up with that name in a very deep and drunken stupor. And that was done on Ustream when I was doing like a video.
Well, when you say cracker around me, I think like the technical term hacker, but I'm not sure that's what everybody thinks.
I don't know where. Definitely not a
well, because there are differences between cracking and hacking. Very different things. Anyways, before we get into the, oh dear God, I didn't realize you had this many things to add. We're going to be here till 4 in the morning.
Well, some of these are repeat. Some of them are repeat with additional information.
Oh yeah, no, I'm guessing that. But because I know once we start going into critique and all our poking at you and everything else, we're going to go off on who knows how many tangents. I want to start with the Java one. You're a software developer. I'm sure you mess with Java in and out. You probably understand this better than most of us. How anal retentive stupid is Oracle being here? On a scale of 1 to what the fuck?
Really, they're on the extreme of on the bad end. You know, I don't know. They took ownership of the product and now want to try. Really, they just want to make money off of Android on something that originally would have not caused any issues whatsoever. But now that they own it, they want to make us, which is crazy to me. I think it's just really ridiculous what Oracle's trying to do. So.
Well, the thing I find hysterical about this is there wouldn't have, since it was open source, there really wouldn't have been anything wrong with using the Java libraries. But Google, probably for security reasons, wanted to create their own and to kind of allow them to fracture Android a little bit like they have, because it's not the pure open source thing. It's not as well known as Java itself. It's their proprietary libraries.
Is Oracle going to go after BlackBerry that uses...
Well, no, I'm wondering if Oracle can make this case stick. When is the lawsuits going to end? Because this is industry standard operation. You know, when you license something, the APIs come with it. It's how you interact with it. If you don't give the APIs, you can't use it. And they're saying, no, you can't use the APIs without relicensing them, and then relicensing them again, and then again and again and again until we decide we've had enough money. And it's even stupider because, I mean, like we were saying here, Google didn't even use the Sun libraries for the most part. They created their own. I mean, they had to use the APIs to go through Java, but they didn't use the Sun Java libraries. They largely created their own. They used, I think, like 37 or 7 lines of code or something in debugging, all of which didn't get removed before they published, which have now been removed. I'm wondering if this gets what this is going to do to software development in general, because everybody's going to be afraid to use anything but a language they wrote themselves.
Right. Well, it's not. I just don't. I think we should let it go.
Do you think they will?
No. Well, they're going to go and invest in all this? No, they're taking it all away as far as they can, unfortunately.
Which means it'll be probably mid next year before we have a verdict. This is not going to be a simple, expedient trial. It's like
it is ridiculous. So.
Yeah. Okay. I was making sure I wasn't like misunderstanding something or overreacting, because my understanding of like at that level is a little primitive. But I'm like, wait a minute, This is like patenting the alphabet for lack of, or wanting to copyright the use of the alphabet for lack of a better word, as I understand it. So nothing to rant on that. So let's begin.
There's not really a rant on that, but you had some videos with Bob that I was trying to comment on, and I love how y'all say "poke the bear."
Oh, we had to go there. That's.
So I thought that was funny. Let me get to the comments that I had, because I commented on the video.
Oh, that's news to me. Hold on, let me look.
And I don't know, it was the...
Looks like he commented a couple.
I did.
Of course, you don't like that we say the RIM executives are fleeing for the exit.
Yes. And Bob, Bob, the Moxie bastard, kept drinking Moxie, and I'm like,
of course he's going to drink Moxie. It's down the street from him. Why shouldn't he?
I know.
Bob, you no longer come from the net. You are now the Moxie bastard.
So, I'm looking at it here. Oh, I didn't comment on this, but wait, what? I thought the tech babble, I thought I did comment on. No.
Well, you commented on the Mac viruses one, but let me see what you said here. But that was week before last.
Wait, Apple poked the bear. Did I miss this? Oh, you did this yesterday?
Oh, dude, we did this. Oh, we did this the last show you missed because it was your second one.
Yeah. Oh, you posted this yesterday. Okay. All right. The thing I think I'm talking about with RIM, and I posted a lot of stuff about RIM. I think there's some really good news regarding RIM.
Yes, all the executives are running for the exits.
No, their sales are up with government and expanding internationally. Also, we'll go into those executives, though. What you were on is that I was trying to explain that a lot of they are shifting to something completely new. They're done once QNX is there, and really you could take somebody whose speciality was your old platform and try to make it work with the new platform, or you hire and have new executives that will be in charge of this new platform. It's very much the same as the old Mac platform, and then moving OS 10. You don't usually carry the same ship going onto the new ship. So all the old crew usually doesn't. What are they going to do? That you could say, well, look, there's a lot that's coming in the emerging world, and BlackBerry is making huge strides in the developing world. But
we'll see.
RIM's made the decision that while OS 7 and all these other devices and using their collaboration servers are making inroads in these developing countries, they're changing. They're going to QNX, and quite frankly, the biggest thing is, regardless of those that use GroupWise and Lotus and all that other good stuff, which BES also does a great collaboration for, the technology essentially changed. Like Microsoft ActiveSync is essentially one of the biggest things that I think damaged the real need for paying a license and having a collaboration server. Now, there's a strong argument when the enterprise, when it gets a lot larger, that yes, collaboration amongst other software groups that participate along with Exchange are very necessary, and therefore you need the collaboration server.
But that's also largely becoming obsolete as we switch over to cloud solutions, because the collaboration is just built in by default. So you don't need to pay extra for that.
Cloud solutions are not a collaboration suite. They're not. Like iCloud sucks.
No. I'm talking about enterprise cloud things. I will never call anything Apple does a cloud, even though the Ewoks do.
Services are not collaboration, or anywhere really near it on the type. Because there's a difference between application hosting and actual, just the service providing of the collaboration amongst nodes and things like that. Because enterprise is concerned about security, and I know you were talking in the videos about, is everything going to go to Google? I was going to type a long thing in that. I think this is because we've already been there, done that. We've already been the route of application hosting and allowing business data to be hosted centrally.
But I pay attention to human behavior, and the reality is every time it comes around, humans think it's a great idea until the first data breach, and then they all panic.
And also having a central data that way back when proved to be also very annoying, and with downtimes, and then who gets what, especially across different regions and things like that. So this is where these other collaboration servers came into play. While they act as their own central nodes, acted more of distributing information than wanting to house it all. And like I said, we've been there, done that with application service providers. And enterprise and business, distributive computing is cheaper than central computing, even though someone can say, cloud this and that. Well, the reason why it's cheaper is it's easier to customize and make something fit your needs at the distributed level versus asking Google to make it up on their end and then trying to find third-party workarounds. And then usually, people make money in that process too. People will get hired.
And it's very clear that despite Google's attack on personal individuals for having more than one account, they are going to be open to enterprise having more than one account, as are all the cloud services, which means to do what you're talking about, they just need to compartmentalize it into account streams.
Well, but they're still about hosting it all. And that's the thing. It's you could make royalty. Google.
But like we said, we were talking about small to medium business, not true enterprise. True enterprise would never be happy.
Small to medium business, it's cheaper to have it distributed. I mean, because in every small business, that's how I made a lot of money. Small businesses and things that couldn't stand the turnkey solutions and participating to just something that, this is their rules and we can't stand it. We want to do this and this and this with it. And usually
unfortunately, more and more small businesses and startups are not wanting to bite that bullet. They're wanting to say the turnkey's good enough. There's two leagues of small businesses. There's the small business owner who will go out of his way to add 120 things to his day just to save $5. And then there's the small business owner that will spend $100 to free his day up from 200 things.
Well,
so he can get back to running he or she can get back to running their business.
Right, but see, the more we subdivide that demographic, the smaller the market share becomes. And saying, it's not this group and this group and this group. And then that's my point, is that what Google is offering will not really be the mainstream. It will be it'll be an alternative to, and probably have a good size amount of people to use it, but it's not going to be like the...
Well, no, I'm not trying to compare it to today. I'm comparing it to this is going to be an alternative option, which I see a lot of if this solution is what is close enough to what they'd make anyways, considering. Like it or not, I know you don't like it, but more and more we're switching over to software as a service, platform as a service, things as a service. Nobody wants to own anything anymore. They just want to lease it because they're under the delusion that gives them free support.
Well, see, I was going to say the opposite, because that's why I put a Microsoft article and that Microsoft profits are up. Why? Because of corporate expenditures and use of
I
Microsoft.
think that has everything to do with preparing for Windows 8 and not wanting to go to it, but that's me.
No.
Yes.
Windows 8 is not their corporate. Windows 8 is not. Windows 8 isn't even is nowhere near around explaining for the corporate increase in the profits that they made with their business sides of software. And I was actually happy to see it. It was because I'm tired of this whole Apple Lens thing and let's bring it's a consumerization of IT. You know, and a lot of these. There is this mentality that I'm beginning to find, which is usually rampant in the Apple demographic. They're the kind of guys that go, it's nice to add this artistic flavor and let's be fluffy here and there and all this other stuff, that have a stigma against what would be called the IBM shirt and tie types, right? And for the longest time, we have all this Apple lens about where this should be, and the problem is that Apple's nowhere near. Nor does it really have products that really.
Apple doesn't even really have an enterprise offering. The closest thing they had was Xserve, which they discontinued a while ago.
Just business in general, and I was very pleased to see that hey, in all of this bubblegum that we're sifting through, we actually have some productivity, coming from it. Because usually, to me, and the reason why I stick with that types of argument is that innovation in technology is usually pushed from the business side of things versus the fun things, and then it trickles down into the consumer things. For instance, most of the stuff that we're using on the consumer side, and Apple uses this technology, have been ran the gamut and paid in very expensive forms and different types of prototypes throughout business that finally got to a point to where it was really marginalized and cheaper at the hardware level to produce and finally deploy to the consumer level type stuff. So that's why I usually stick with it, because my whole point is about computing. I could give a crap how far you can fling a red bird at a building.
You and your angry birdness.
So, all right.
I'm not going to play it today, guys. We're okay. No da-da-da-da.
But that was, okay, so I think we have one more where it was, I think Bob was talking about Windows 8. Was that the other one that I commented on?
Windows 8.
No, I didn't comment on it. Oh well. I don't remember what the other one is. I don't want to tie too much of the show, but we'll probably hit on. I wish I was there last week, because y'all hit on some great topics that I would have had an opinion on.
That's what you get for renovating your house.
Now,
Okay. Let me see. Where do we want to start with in your thing? We've kind of covered. We've covered Microsoft and RIM.
well, not really. No, not really. Not well. I mean, there's some articles in there.
Well, because I have no idea what these are about. You've just posted URLs. You didn't put any titles or descripts or other stuff. I don't have a clue.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we'll just start with Microsoft since it's 2 weeks, because Apple's pretty big. See, Microsoft profit tops estimates on corporate software demand.
You just said that.
Yeah, and this is the article with the net income. Let's see. This is the world's largest software maker reported fiscal third quarter profit at top estimates. They're expecting sales of software for business. Let's see if they see it's on Office productivity programs, Windows 7 operating systems, and the software for servers. So this is all telling me we're going good in the right direction. Distributed power. It doesn't. I don't care if it's Microsoft that does it. I'm all for distributed computing. There's a place for centralized computing and application and server hosting, but that goes against my grain personally. Let's see, and this is for everybody listening on podcasts. The articles from Bloomberg, and the title is Microsoft Profit Tops Estimates on Corporate Software Demand. And
Well, the story here, though, I'm reading the other one. Their plans to beat Apple and Google. Microsoft can provide this stuff. The thing I always see Microsoft fuck up on when they start creating these distributed things is Microsoft has the hardest frickin' time learning to play agnostic ball. And that they try, and this is one of the ways in which Microsoft tries to out-Apple Apple. You know, they try and make all roads ultimately lead to a Microsoft thing, which I get from a business perspective. But from an enterprise solution perspective, or a sub-enterprise perspective, it's like, I want to use your product. Stop fucking with everything else I'm using and just make your thing work with everything. Stop it.
Well, then what's happening here, obviously, their profits are coming in from a mass migration to Windows 7 and their latest server software packages and offerings.
Yeah, I was reading about that. I saw like the two areas in which they're weak, and this is actually hurting Nokia, is the phones and the Xbox. These are the two things that I saw. We're coming due for a console refresh, so I'm not counting the Xbox out yet. I have a feeling the next run of Xbox, based on the rumors we've been hearing with Microsoft, Microsoft's the only one of the people doing this that is partnering with the cable companies.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if whatever the next version of the Xbox is, like a Microsoft TV entertainment center that merges with your cable TV and or satellite, and you just buy the right one for you.
And it was interesting, if you read further down on this article from Bloomberg, it says shipments of corporate machines rose 8% while consumer demand was flat. And it goes on to saying the Windows division was bolstered as purchases of Windows 7 software from enterprise customers outweighed lackluster demand from consumers. Well, no, because consumers want to live on Facebook all day.
Well, it also, here's the thing, we're also due for that to happen, and I say that because every so often in the Windows platform, we have a wave of the old ones retiring, the new ones on, so let's go to the next stable yada yada. So there's all the people who can get off of XP beginning to transition off of XP onto 7, which they're probably going to be on for a while. They're not going to like go out and buy another wave of systems or something or whatever. They're making that transition. It's due. And they're going to get it now.
Yeah, 2013 or something, a new console by 2013?
That's the rumors. There's at least one coming out. Usually once somebody starts that rush, everybody's out to, by Christmas, we will all have our new consoles, if not by February the next year.
Right. Well, and you were discussing the CNN Money article, because you brought that up about beating Apple and Google, and that, for anybody listening on the podcast, comes from CNN Money. It's titled, Microsoft's Master Plan to Beat Apple and Google. And we don't really need to go into this, because you could listen, I don't know if we recorded this on the podcast, but definitely on our YouTube channel, we've, I think, gone in great detail about my opinion on it, and Rusty's opinion on it, and I think others, and that I think that Microsoft has an advantage in principle, and whether it gets executed is a whole other story.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't want to go into that again, because if we go into that thing, we will sit here and argue for an hour about the principle versus Microsoft's historic execution of theory.
So, you can go see, or I don't know, record another podcast. I think the argument culminated to I giving Microsoft the benefit of the doubt based upon the progression I saw from developer preview to the consumer preview of Windows 8, and the rest is going off of empirical evidence of history, which is very valid. So it remains to be seen.
I have one word for you: registry. Enough said.
Wait.